Welcome back to the Old Charles. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of Canadian coins, focusing specifically on the Canada 1 cent 1982 coin and its value. This coin is part of the long-running series of Canadian pennies which have been produced since 1858, and over the years the 1 cent coin has become not just a piece of currency but also a collectible item for numismatists and coin enthusiasts around the world. The 1982 1 cent coin was minted during a period of change in Canada as the economy and inflation were on the rise, and although pennies were still in circulation, many collectors started to pay closer attention to their condition, rarity and minting errors. The Canada 1 cent 1982 coin was primarily made from copper-plated zinc, which was a change from the pure copper pennies used in earlier years. This change in composition affected the look, weight and durability of the coin and also has an impact on its value for collectors. The obverse side of the coin features the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait shows a young queen with a serene expression and detailed crown work, and this design was used on Canadian coins from 1965 until 1989. The reverse side of the coin shows the famous maple leaf design created by G. E. Kruger Gray. The maple leaf has long been a symbol of Canada, and its presence on the penny emphasizes the national pride and heritage that Canadians have cherished for generations. When it comes to value, the Canada 1 cent 1982 coin is considered common in circulated condition. However, its value can rise depending on factors such as uncirculated condition, mint errors and rare varieties. For a coin in typical circulated condition, you can expect a value slightly above face value, usually ranging from 5 cents to 15 cents if the coin is in extremely fine condition, meaning minimal wear and all details are clear. The value can increase significantly, reaching 25 cents to 50 cents in some cases. For collectors who manage to find a coin in uncirculated or mint condition, the value can go even higher, sometimes exceeding $1, especially if the coin has been well preserved and stored in protective holders. Coins with unique minting errors such as double strikes, off-center strikes or die cracks can command prices well beyond typical values in the collector market. These errors are highly sought after because they are rare and add a unique story to the coin. Another interesting point is that the 1982 penny was among the last years when the Canadian penny still contained a significant amount of copper in its composition. After 1982, the composition of pennies continued to evolve, which makes the 1982 copper-plated zinc pennies appealing to collectors who are interested in transitional coins and coins that mark a change in minting practices. For those looking to buy or sell a 1982 penny, it is important to consider the coin grade and the overall eye appeal. A clean, well-centered coin with sharp details will always fetch a higher value than one that is heavily worn, scratched or corroded. Collectors also pay attention to the mint mark. Although most 1982 pennies were minted in Ottawa, some coins were produced at the Winnipeg Mint, and coins from certain mints may be slightly more valuable due to lower mintage numbers. When storing these coins, it is recommended to keep them in coin sleeves or holders away from humidity and direct sunlight to maintain their condition and prevent oxidation. And finally, the Canada 1 cent 1982 coin represents more than just monetary value. It is a piece of Canadian history, a symbol of national pride and a collectible item that can grow in value over time. For anyone starting their coin collection, the 1982 penny is a great addition because it is accessible, affordable and offers a glimpse into Canadian coinage practices of the early 80s. Whether you are a seasoned collector or just starting, this coin is a reminder of the enduring charm and historical significance that even the smallest denominations can carry. So next time you find a Canadian penny from 1982, take a closer look at it, examine the details, appreciate the craftsmanship and consider adding it to your collection, because you never know, its value could be higher than you think. We are going to explore the fascinating history of the Canada 1 cent 1982 coin and its journey from design to circulation and its place in Canadian numismatic history. The 1 cent coin has been a staple of Canadian currency for over a century, with roots dating back to the mid-19th century. The penny has always served not just as a medium of exchange but also as a symbol of Canadian identity. In 1982, Canada was undergoing several economic and cultural changes, and the coins produced during this period reflect both the continuity of tradition and the subtle evolution in coin production. The Canada 1 cent 1982 coin was produced at a time when the Royal Canadian Mint was transitioning from using mostly pure copper to copper-plated zinc. This change in composition was primarily driven by rising copper prices and the need to produce coins more cost-effectively. However, even with this change, the penny retained the classic maple leaf design on the reverse side, which had been used For decades the maple leaf had first appeared on the 1-cent coin in 1937 and had become a defining symbol of Canadian coinage. It represents the natural beauty of the country and the deep connection Canadians have with their land and heritage. The obverse side of the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait was adopted in 1965 and continued to be used until 1989. It captures the youthful likeness of the Queen in an elegant and timeless design. The presence of the Queen on the coin reflects Canada's ties to the British Commonwealth and the historical connection with the monarchy. Over the years the 1-cent coin has undergone several design and composition changes. In the early 20th century pennies were made from nearly pure copper and were much heavier than modern coins. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s the Canadian penny maintained its traditional look, but the mint began experimenting with different alloys to manage costs and improve durability. By the 1980s the Royal Canadian Mint had refined production techniques allowing for high-quality coins at a lower cost. The 1982 penny is particularly interesting in history because it was one of the early coins to feature copper-plated zinc rather than pure copper. This composition gives it a slightly different color and weight compared to earlier pennies and marks a transitional period. In Canadian coinage this coin was minted in both Ottawa and Winnipeg. Although most coins came from Ottawa, the 1982 penny represents a snapshot of Canada at a time when coins were still widely used in everyday transactions. People would carry them in their pockets, wallets and purses, and use them for small purchases from candy and newspapers to bus fares and parking meters. Today the 1-cent coin has been discontinued, but coins like the 1982 penny remain a reminder of a time when the smallest denomination held both practical and cultural significance. Collectors are particularly interested in this coin not only because of its composition but also because of its place in history. It captures a moment in time when Canada was balancing tradition and modernization and when coins were still a part of daily life for millions of Canadians. The historical value of the Canada 1-cent 1982 coin goes beyond its monetary worth. It tells a story of changing materials, economic pressures, the relationship between Canada and the monarchy, and the enduring symbolism of the maple leaf for collectors and historians alike. The 1982 penny is also a piece of a larger narrative that includes the introduction of new coin designs, special mint marks and rare varieties that would become highly sought after in later years. Studying the history of this coin allows us to appreciate not just its design and composition but also the cultural and economic context in which it was produced. It reminds us that every coin has a story and that even the smallest pieces of metal can reflect the history and identity of a nation. So the next time you hold a Canada 1-cent 1982 coin, take a moment to think about its history. Imagine the people who used it in stores, on street corners and at markets, and appreciate how this small coin carries within it decades of Canadian heritage. Looking to buy, sell or collect pennies. The condition of a coin refers to its physical state, including the wear on its surfaces, the sharpness of its details, the luster or shine that remains from the minting process, and the overall eye appeal. Coins that have been in circulation for decades often show signs of handling, scratches, nicks and discoloration. These factors can reduce a coin's value because collectors generally prefer coins that are as close to their original minted state as possible. For the 1982 penny, coins in circulated condition will typically have noticeable wear on the high points of the maple leaf design and the Queen's portrait. The finer details of the leaf veins and facial features may be smooth or partially worn off, the edges may be slightly rounded, and the coin may have minor scratches or small dents from everyday use. Despite these imperfections, circulated coins still hold some value, especially for people who are building a collection or looking for a specific year to complete a set. However, the value of a circulated coin usually ranges only slightly above face value. For coins in better condition, known as extremely fine or very fine, the details are much more visible. The maple leaf design is crisp and clear, the Queen's facial features are defined, and the coin retains some of its original luster. These coins have had minimal circulation and careful handling over the years, and they can command higher prices, sometimes 2 to 3 times the value of a typical circulated penny. Coins that have never been used in commerce and are considered uncirculated are the most sought after by collectors. An uncirculated 1982 penny will have full sharp details on both the obverse and reverse sides, no scratches or wear marks, and a bright original mint luster that makes it stand out in any collection within the numismatic grading system. Uncirculated coins are often given specific grades such as mint State 60 through mint state 70. Depending on their perfection, the closer a coin is to mint state 70, the more valuable it becomes. Even minor imperfections such as slight discoloration spots or tiny contact marks can affect the grade and ultimately the market value. Coins in mint state condition are rare because most pennies were used in everyday transactions and few have been preserved perfectly for over 4 decades certain. 1982 pennies may also have specific condition-related value factors such as toning, which occurs when the metal reacts with the environment over time. A naturally toned coin can be more desirable to some collectors if the colors are attractive, while coins that are corroded, dirty or damaged may have little value regardless of their year or rarity. It is also important for collectors to store coins properly to maintain their condition. Coins should be kept in holders, sleeves or albums away from humidity, sunlight and harsh chemicals, because exposure to these elements can cause discoloration and corrosion. Even the smallest scratch or mark can lower the value significantly. Examining a coin carefully with magnification and proper lighting can help determine its condition and identify any unusual features such as die errors or minting anomalies that may increase its value beyond the typical condition. Considerations: for example, a 1982 penny with a minor mint error in uncirculated condition can be worth many times more than a perfect normal coin. Understanding the relationship between condition and value is essential for anyone interested in Canadian pennies. It allows collectors to make informed decisions about buying, selling or trading, and it helps them appreciate the historical and aesthetic qualities of the coins they collect. So when you look at a Canada 1 cent 1982 coin, examine it closely. Notice the sharpness of the maple leaf. Notice the detail in the Queen's portrait. Observe